Hello and welcome to another Demis Hellen tutorial. I am in the process of mixing the lead lines for this new track I'm working on, so I thought it would be worth just going into a little bit of depth on what is happening with the mix down. So we have a bit of a weaker melody here. I'm just going to let you listen to it as it progresses into this epic section, and then I'll just quickly walk you through what is going on, and then I'll show you how I'm going to mix it. So let's have a listen. Okay, so that is the melody, and it's comprised of 3 layers. The first layer being synth 1. That's massive. I don't know why that's popping up, so I unselected. So synth 1, and it's a custom patch. So nothing too spectacular there, but it's providing more of the transient and the stab to the sound. Then we have Spire, supplying us with a nice classic trance synth, and this is part of my new classic trance synth pack that I'm building at the moment, so if you're interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments. And finally we have massive. Some may recognise it, some may not. It's Pluckstar's Heaven 2, and I've just used the grit to get a bit more sparkle out of the sound. Usually it's here, and you turn up the volume here, but it sounds really nice, and it adds a little bit of sparkle. So, and we've got a bit of square wave coming in there as well. And it helps that like little bit of a fall in the melody, the arpeggiated bits, really stand out. So, in terms of mixing, let's just solo these, because I haven't colour coordinate anything, so it's going to be a bit difficult to navigate, but it's all just been composed in the last hour or so. Okay, so we have synth 1. It has a lot going on for it, so let's just unsolo the other 2 for a second. Apart from the send to the reverb, we have this bunch of effects, so I'll just turn them off, and then we'll turn them on one by one. Okay, so first things first, I've added a little bit of roll-off on the low end, just taking a little chunk out the middle there and boosted the highs to keep the bite, and reduced the volume by nearly 5 decibels because it was quite loud coming in. I've also reduced the volume of Synth 1's output as well. Then we go into a stereo delay, which has the lows cut off, just trying to get that a little bit closer to 306. Maybe a little less feedback on there. Okay, and then we use some tape distortion. So it's just set at a preset here, lead electric guitar straight, but it does make a subtle difference. It adds a bit more warmth into it, so we'll just bypass this again. Fills out the lower end a little bit, so it sounds really nice. So it's yet to be tweaked, but the preset sounded good for what I needed it for, and I'll just go around and have a little mess and just make sure there is no spicier sounds that you can get out of this thing. Then sausage fattener, of course, to get the volume back, but to add really more distortion to embrace what the tape distortion is giving me. So this is what it sounds like. Kind of puts that detail back in the low end. And then we go through to Molot. Really just to keep control of those rogue peaks. Nothing too special, not trying to shape the transients or anything, just to bring it under control. A little bit of a mid-scoop just to keep that all sitting nicely. And then finally, one last roll off. To remove that lower end, but we've got the detail in the lower mids from the sausage fattener. So that's the processing for synth 1. Not that it needs it. It's a really, really good synth, but I wanted something that's kind of really gritty over the smoothness of the next one. Now this has got a 80s/90s vibe, and I'll walk you through the preset in a second. But let's have a look at what's going on here. Quite bassy. So as you can see, first things first, rolled off. Don't want any of that low end in. All the low end is going to go to the bass. Nothing to do with these is going to have bass in them. Then Molot. We've got the Sigma preset activated, so we've got a little bit more attack and bite on the transients, and then just shaped using a 3:1 ratio, bit of a scoop again, and a limiter. So let's have a listen. Okay, and finally we have an EQ that goes through again just to remove the low end that the compressor can add back in. So as you can see, there is a lot of low end, and if you look at the first EQ in the mix, I've removed all that low end. It's gone. However, it's back. So always just check your low end and stuff like that. Okay, so that is positioned. I want that to be a bit thinner, but add that taste of classic trance. And then finally, we have this one. So this is how life started with Pluckstar's Heaven. I've used Glitch 2's Distortion, so you've seen me use this before. It's a really good distortion, to be honest. As a standalone plugin, I'd take this. However, we've used this and we've turned the drive and the drive down because it comes quite high, and then the tone upwards. And then we've added a bit of a stretcher here, so you'll hear that. Just a little bit, but if we turn the mix up, just want to add a little bit of dynamic, just to give it something a little bit different. Okay, so moving on, we have the EQ, rolled the lows off. I've cut some of the lower mids because this preset seems to generate a lot of low mid detail. And boosted the highs. So I just want to make a point here. I've seen a lot of mixes where people are just letting this clip on the EQ, so make sure that you see those volume levels. It's crucial. It really is crucial because you're getting digital clipping and it's not nice. Come to the mastering stage, you get these weird noises and artifacts, and headroom just seems to disappear and stuff. So just be mindful of that. Okay, and finally Kickstarter. Nothing too exciting, just a bit of sidechain. Okay, so at the moment these are not going through a bus to a lead mixing section, so that's where we're going to send it next, because as they stand, let's just have these again soloed. They sound nice together, but they're sitting very separate. So I'm just going to show you how I use parallel. We're going to use some presets from Pro Q2. Pro C2, should we say. So let's create a group track, and I'm going to name it leads. Okay, so we have leads, and I'm going to send these to the leads group. Let's make sure we're the right one here. Okay, so everything's going through to this leads group now. Okie dokie. So first things first, let's go to Pro C. And we don't want to go too drastic with this. So let's have a look at mix bus. Mastering, and we want the parallel glue. So let's have a listen to this on and off first, just to see the sound difference. Okay, so straight off the bat, the parallel glue preset is always really kind of the go-to thing for leads for me. So even though this is a mastering preset on here, glue compression is much needed for things like lead lines and basses. You're not going to use it every time, but it is good practice to understand how parallel compression works. And essentially all it's doing is making sure that all the nitty-gritty sounds in between all of the leads are brought up to level, which then starts to blend it. It's a very, very, very loose definition, don't take my word upon that, but it's using the mid and side presets. So as you can see on the dry knob here, we have it set further over to the side and less mid, so you can see the mids are minus 3.42 decibels, and that's adding the side detail back in from the original sound before it was compressed, and that just gives you a little bit more glue on there because it's picking all of those details in between. So what we're listening for is listening the lower mids. You can hear that some of the detail of the delay and the reverb drops off. It technically goes very flat. And I'll turn it back on at the phrase. And I'll turn it off once more. And back up. So you can hear that it adds more depth into the sound, and you know it's doing the job. It's not going crazy, it's not doing too much gain reduction here, and the sound is sounding pretty transparent, but if we're a little bit concerned, you could always reduce the thresholds. That sounds about acceptable there. So for it to bring out the detail from the sides and stuff like that is giving it back its depth. Because you've got three synths working together, they are fighting for the same space essentially, and that's why you EQ them just slightly different, so they have, it's like a jigsaw puzzle and they fit together. So that is like the first stage. I would put a bit of glue on there. And usually I would use Pro C2. Molots is doing my go-to at the moment. However, that's visually better. Okay, so we're just removing that low end. Just going to the extreme so you can hear what I'm listening for. Just going to roll off the highs. So if you can hear on the headphones, there's a lot of high noise there, and you technically don't hear it, and especially as you get older, you don't hear it. So I'm just going to roll it off so it smooths off those synths a little bit more. Okay, let's listen into context with the rest of the song. Okay, I'm just going to drop this bass line in here now, and we're going to drag this over. Okay, rid of them. Just copy them across, and we'll just see what it sounds like sitting on its own. In fact, we'll fade it out here just for effect. We'll just give it a nice linear drop. I'll sort that out after. Because there's nothing worse than a linear drop. Give it a bit of a tasty curve on there. We're going to do it anyway. I want this one to fall off a bit quicker because it's quite harsh. Okay, we are slightly off with the bass, aren't we? We are. Let me just drag this over. Okay, so that's that tidied up. Let's just copy all of this back down. Okay, so it fits nicely with the bass. The bass is complemented. And I do have a second bass here. Just turn off my notifications. Okay, so I do have a second bass. This, is it this one? Yes. Drag this over. Let's just get a bit of context with a bit of high bass in there as well. How buttery smooth does that sound now? So let's have a listen to this without the inserts on. So the only way I can describe this to you is, let's just loop that, is if you listen to the sparkly bit, it's very stabby and in your face. Whereas now, it's got a bit of stab, but it's got a bit of buttery smooth about it as well. And it's just added that depth in using the parallel gluing. Just sounded a little bit flat there. And it brings all that lovely reverb detail out. Yeah, I'm happy with that for now. So I'll just give you a quick preview to the rest of the track. It's in the process of being built. So I've been messing around with the LFOs here to try and get some patterns out of there, and I like this bit of a pattern here. It's got quite a nice jagged pattern to it, so I think I'll end up using that because this one's a little bit OTT. But this one works really nice. So that is made in Hive as well. I'll just take a look. I did get asked in the previous tutorial on the full track walkthrough, how did you make your acid lead for that track? And it was made in Hive 2 using a sawtooth. There's nothing too special. It's using the same things, using the mod envelope to control the filters, resonance high up, and then a high pass on the other one, linked back to filter 1 over here. and then it's just using the mod matrix really to get a nice glide. Let's just have a look at this bit here. At the moment I've got the LFO just doing the parts on its own, but it sounds okay. It sounded a bit weak at the moment. I need to add it like more bassy into the track. But yeah, that is in development. So that is mixing the leads. So if you found it useful, let me know in the comments below. I answer everybody, and you know that. Hit the like button if you think it deserves it. And finally, subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can see every time I upload 2 videos per week, every week, minimum. Thanks for watching. See you later.